House of the Dragon is so good, it might just be even better than Game of Thrones, and here's why. Released in August of 2022, it was the most watched pilot in HBO history with a staggering 10 million viewers. Now obviously, you can't talk about House of the Dragon without mentioning Game of Thrones, but we think that this series is so good on its own that it would be an insult to simply label it as a Game of Thrones spin-off.
Yeah, especially since the last season of Game of Thrones absolutely fucked us fans with its horrible shitty ending. I mean, I'm still traumatized and I still kind of don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's not mention that anymore. Unless it's a good story.
There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story.
Alright, so in House of the Dragon, you get the ruthless ambition, you get the power struggle, just as you do in Game of Thrones. Having said that, this series is a more concentrated story about succession, focused on one family without the epic and diverse storylines. It tells a story about House Targaryen at the height of its power 172 years before the birth of Daenerys Targaryen. Now here's the deal. I got a little Biden in me right there.
Here's the deal!
The series is mainly concentrated around the relationship between 5 characters. And the first episode is particularly powerful as it really showcases the dynamic between them. You have
King Viserys Targaryen. Now, King Viserys is actually a clear contrast to the characters we're used to from Game of Thrones and even House of the Dragon. Because he's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, he has no personal agenda. Like, the only thing that he wants to keep is the peace within the realm and having good relationship with his family.
True.
That is a lot to ask in this universe.
And that's why he has to go.
Yeah. But he has a problem, if you want to call that, is that he has no sons. So the heir to Iron Throne is his brother, Daemon Targaryen. And Daemon is a very, very clear contrast with King Viserys. Prince Daemon is a wild motherfucker who thrives in chaos and really instigates conflicts and really seems to thrive within this crazy situation.
Yeah, and like a clear and very capable sociopath. But you're absolutely right. The contrast between him and Viserys is huge. Now I got some Trump in me right there. Huge.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one.
But you can tell that their relationship is very, very complicated. But it's also not a relationship without love.
Driftmark beggared while our king idles himself with feasts and balls and tourneys.
I will speak of my brother as I wish. You will not.
The inciting incident of the series happens in the first episode when the king makes a decision to sacrifice his own wife, the queen, in order to try to save his unborn son.
Yeah, and this scene is absolutely horrific. I mean, it was really, really gut-wrenching to see. We were really up close and personal. And for us, it was like very, very much harder to watch rather than the beheadings and the killings from Game of Thrones. Yeah. And even the killings you see later during the show. I mean,
we kind of got used to all the beheadings and the killings in Game of Thrones. But this was a different level of gut-wrenching. Yeah, I agree.
So what happens? Like you said, the king loses his wife. And the son that is longed for so long also passes away the same day.
And also, to make matters worse, Daemon makes a mockery and names him king for a day, right? And what happens then is that Viserys breaks with a century of tradition. On the one hand, he unnames Daemon as heir to the throne.
My family has just been destroyed. But instead of being by my side, O Rhaenyra's, you chose to celebrate your own rise! I have decided to name a new heir.
I'm your heir.
Not anymore.
That is not breaking a century of tradition, but he names his daughter Rhaenyra heir to the Iron Throne. Rhaenyra Targaryen. Rhaenyra Targaryen is introduced as a fierce tomboy who seems happy in life with no clear desire for the Iron Throne. And she's best friend with Lady Alicent. And Lady Alicent is the daughter of the Hand of the King, Otto Hightower. And for some reason, you and I keep calling him Otto von Hightower.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so fitting.
He's Otto von Hightower. And this motherfucker, he's the real snake of the show. And when Rhaenyra becomes heir, everything changes. Because not only is she in a much, much more precarious position than before, she also becomes distanced by not only her father, but also her best friend, while dealing with the grief from losing both her mother and her brother. Why? Well, because of the motherfucking snake.
Otto Hightower. Now Otto von Hightower, like we like to call him, and I hope some of you might call him that as well. I don't know, it's so fucking fitting. He's, like you said, like the true Machiavellian of the show. And why we say that is because as soon as tragedy strikes, instead of consoling the king, he starts to pushing his own narrative, his own agenda to extend his own power.
Right.
And he not only does this with his conniving ways, but by pimping out his own daughter. And he does it with his smile, that you see that this is not a good guy at all.
It's absolutely disgusting. And you're right, because what happens? Well, as soon as the queen dies, he sends Lady Alicent to console the king. But ultimately, it's clear that what he wants is for the king to develop feelings for Lady Alicent. And that's what happens. And this is a key moment because the king decides to marry Lady Alicent instead of going with the more strategic option, which would be marrying the Princess of Valerian. And this changes everything because now Rhaenyra becomes distant from, again, her father and her best friend. And Lady Alicent quickly gives birth to a male, Aegon. And the snake does what the snake does. He immediately starts pushing the narrative that it should be his grandson, Aegon, who should be the rightful heir, not Rhaenyra, a woman.
Yeah, and now is when the temperature really started increasing during the show. So for us, the actual main storyline is not between King Viserys and Daemon. It's between Lady Alicent and Princess Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
The two key players from the both opposing sides.
Yeah.
And I remember the fact that a lot of people did not like the change in actors midway through the season. But for us, it makes it so much more powerful and stronger because you can really see a dynamic break, not only in the actors, but from the characters themselves.
And I think as the show progresses, I don't know how many seasons, I hope it goes for a few more seasons, but I think us, the audience, will be able to look back on the first season and see, damn, like, look how far they come in the complete wrong way. You know, they used to be best friends and now they're mortal enemies. And that leads us to the fifth character, Lady Alicent. And Lady Alicent is introduced as a smart and dutiful young woman who's very obedient to her father. And she clearly has love for Rhaenyra, even as the show progresses. Even as they're mortal enemies, I think there's still love there. But I think she also has a lot of jealousy for Rhaenyra. And I think she is really frustrated by Rhaenyra's abrasiveness and carelessness, because these are traits that are completely opposite of her own, and in her mind completely unfitting for a lady of the court.
What have I done but what was expected of me?
As the series progresses, you can tell that she's a highly skilled operator, and I wonder about her own ambition, because I do think she has ambition, and I think it will become even stronger as the show progresses, because she will know that she is the one who's the real skilled operator here from the green side.
Because you have seen some friction between her and her father during the last part of the season as well.
True.
So in the second half of the season, when Rhaenyra marries Prince Daemon, clear camps are created.
Yes.
You have, of course, Team Black with Rhaenyra and Daemon, and Team Green with Otto and Alicent.
And we are, of course, Team Rhaenyra all day, baby. I mean, Nico, she's the one who saw the white stag.
Yeah, she's the only motherfucking queen House Roswell recognizes.
Put some respect on her name, okay? And now we go into season 2. So what will happen? I'm curious to see what you think here. I don't think we really agree, but I don't think there will be war in the second season. Or let me rephrase. I don't think we'll see war from the get-go in the second season. We might see a guerrilla-type maneuver led by Daemon early on in the first episode of the second season. But I don't think we'll be in the midst of war. Why? Well, because Rhaenyra has shown constraint in the past. She doesn't have a desire to burn King's Landing to the ground. Of course, the Greens just killed her son, so that could ultimately change things. But I think that was just a way to move the storyline further into the second season, and also a way for the showrunners to tease the audience in making us believe like there will be war from the jump.
Yeah, I agree with the point when you say, like, I don't think it's going to be a full-on scale war attacking King's Landing episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're actually going to be a couple months removed from the killing of the son.
Right.
And I think war will be in full effect, but I think it's going to be more of a cold war. That Rhaenyra and Daemon are doing strategic alliances. They have maybe taken over the Riverlands. We know that they have the drift mark, so they would control all the routes. Maybe they're starting to isolate them,
Right,
trying
the
to,
ports, yeah.
exactly, trying to make him then starvation. I think so. I don't. Maybe they're making them starve out King's Landing, something like that. But I don't think it's gonna. I think I agree with you in the point that I don't think it's gonna be dragons attacking King's Landing for episode 1, because we know from Game of Thrones that King's Landing is still there, obviously. But I think there is gonna be a war.
I get so fucking excited because I can't wait to see it. But what do you guys think? We would love to know. An interesting question to me, Nico, is how good are the Greens from a military perspective? Because we know, of course, that they are ruthless, smart, cunning political operators. But we also know that Daemon and Rhaenyra are warriors. Will the difference show? I don't know, but I'm mean to find out. I'm also really curious about how these two characters will evolve. So you have Harmon Strong, who is really the little finger of House of the Dragon.
What are children but a weakness? Best to make your way through life unencumbered.
And he becomes an ally with Lady Alicent in a really fucked up way. I mean, he kills his own family. But that's neither here nor there in typical Game of Thrones fashion. And he is aware of the relationship between Otto and Mysaria. Now, Mysaria is introduced as the lover of Daemon first, but she becomes the Varys of House of the Dragon.
Yeah, spider.
The spider who really has a lot of intelligence.
Yeah, they're very similar in some aspects.
Yes, that is true. And she has a direct line of communication with Otto. And there's also friction between Otto and Lady Alicent, as we see in the last episodes of the season. And I think that especially Harmon Strong will utilize that to further his own game. But yeah, I mean, I can't fucking wait, man. I cannot wait. So that's it for us, right? Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We would love to know what you think. So please let us know in the comment. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, whatever calls you. We appreciate you.
See you in the next one. Peace.